And we're back. Brandon Rhymes here. Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team, Keller Williams Realty. Special guest Josh Valentin in studio with us, the world traveler, holistic life coach on IG and influencer. Welcome into the studio, man.
Glad to be here, brother. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Yeah, my pleasure. And thanks for coming in. Give us a little overview about what your IG's about, with your holistic life coach.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York, and I was one of those guys that basically first generation person in this family to go off and do the college thing. I got recruited to play football there, and I was working as a merchant marine captain. I went to a military school. I had got a Coast Guard license and specialized specifically in international business. So studied abroad, all that good stuff. And after graduating, I was working as a captain piloting cargo around the country. And around 22 years old, I got into entrepreneurship. Started dabbling in different businesses. By the time I was 24, I had retired from the workforce. And, from there, I was leading a lot of teams of people. I had a huge sales team, thousands of people around the world that I was basically providing personal development training, mindset training. And that's what ultimately led me to the world of life coaching. I ended up getting certified. I'm sure you're probably familiar with Tony Robbins.
Yep.
So I got certified through his company, his training company. And the rest is history. I started coaching leaders in organizations in everything from industry, entertainment, education, government. I was living between New York City and the Bahamas at the time. And I was in the travel business. So that's a big reason why a lot of my brand is centered around travel.
Okay.
I helped a lot of people around the world just travel to some incredible places. Where I was living in the Bahamas, we actually helped send more Bahamians abroad than any organization in the history of the country. We were essentially making travel affordable for the masses. So that's how the whole World Traveler brand came about.
Very cool. Yeah, man, that's awesome background there, kind of in a nutshell. And Tony Robbins, my favorite, too. I went to Business Mastery over there in Mali, Fiji, and studied him. What's some of your key takeaways? What's your your top talking points? We talk a lot about consumer advocacy here on the show. What do you think people need to know in this day and age?
Absolutely. I think my biggest message more than anything, like if I'm speaking for a Fortune 500 company, my key takeaway more than anything is the idea of eradicating the myth of work-life balance and adopting this idea of work-life harmony. As you know, in your line of work and just about anything, you wear a lot of hats, whether it's producing, this show or, creating certain things, or even working in your line of work, but you also have your family, you have your spiritual life, you have what I refer to as the 5 Fs, which are your faith, fitness, family, fortune, and fun. And how do you juggle it all? How do you manage it? And I just believe that there's no such thing as work-life balance. You could probably relate. Maybe some seasons of your life, you may nail it right when you're doing all of the right things. Maybe you're going to church, you're taking care of your family. But then there are seasons where, especially as an entrepreneur or self-employed person, you have to essentially get a little obsessed with, putting in the work necessary to help your family situation. So my thing is, how do you ultimately manage that? How do you juggle it and live in a way where you still have that work-life harmony? And I know that if you just ultimately schedule these things in, there's certain tools, there's certain strategies where if you schedule it in, for example, if you optimize your calendar in such a way where you bring that consciousness, if you will, to your family life, where you bring it to your your spiritual life, you take that time necessary, you can achieve that work-life harmony. So that's what a lot of my message is about. So if, for example, your community who are business owners, your community who even work a job, right? Sometimes we get so obsessed where we end up worshiping our work,
Yeah.
And I just believe in my heart of hearts that you can nail it right if you just have the right tools and strategies to do so. Yeah,
I like that. The focus, the power of focus. So when you're at home, focus on the family, focus on things that you want at that moment, and try to leave the work side behind. I think too many times people have home-based businesses or small businesses, and they end up, mixing the two, and it may not be the right time to interject or bring that conversation to the forefront. And then, starting, with I'm a Christian, so I think about, Jesus Christ in the first thing in the morning, setting that tone of the day. I know a lot of coaches will talk about the importance of winning the morning, winning the day as well, things like that. Yeah, that's a huge thing that I put emphasis on, just starting your day with spirituality, some form of prayer, meditation, and then from there it goes to your body.
just either going for a walk, getting some sun, those kinds of things. Self-care is so important. I believe if there's no enemy within, the enemy outside can do us no harm. So you ultimately have to take care of your body. You have to take care of your mind, because your outer world is always going to be a direct reflection of your inner world.
Yeah.
So if you can just take care of the core, especially your family life, because if your family life is in turmoil, it's going to spill over into your work.
Right.
There's just no getting around that. So you always hear the terms happy wife, happy life.
Yep.
But there's a lot of truth to that.
Sure.
And I know every time my wife and I are on good terms, things just thrive in business. They thrive in life. So I believe that if we can bring enough, I call it your T, your time, energy, and attention.
Yeah.
If you can bring enough time, energy, and attention to the things that truly matter, and that's why when I cover the 5 F's, it's specifically in that category. Your faith, number 1, your fitness, mental, physical, and emotional, and then your family. It's the idea of the oxygen mask. You put on your mask first before you can take care of anyone else.
Right.
So I think just taking that time for yourself, your spirituality, your health, your mental, all of that plays a big part, in terms of thriving in the marketplace.
Yeah, I love that. I love that, man. And, celebrating the wins.
Yeah.
Celebrating and working hard and then reaching that goal. And it's like, hey, now we got to celebrate. We got to party a little bit. Let's enjoy the fruits of our labor.
Oh, that's a big part of it. Celebrating, just even from a psychological standpoint, you're telling the brain, like, hey, there's an incentive by accomplishing, even if it's just winning the day.
Yeah.
Right? Taking some time to celebrate yourself just by getting through the day. A wise man once said, do not be anxious for tomorrow will take care of itself. Sometimes it's just about getting through that specific day, winning the morning so that you can ultimately win the day, and then having something on the tail end to celebrate yourself, even if it's something small.
Absolutely. Josh Valentin, the World Traveler, Holistic Life Coach. How do you want people to connect with you?
They can connect with me on Instagram at The World Traveler, my website, javalentin.com, and pretty much anywhere on the internet. If you just Google the name, you'll find me.
Awesome, man. Well, good stuff. Thanks for coming in today.
Thanks for having me, brother.
My pleasure. Appreciate that. All right. Hey, another great show. We had an insurance recap with Jason Mears, Florida Best Quote Insurance. Of course, Bruce Woodburn, the Loan Arranger, talking about new construction and housing starts, as well as Josh Valentin, that is, the World Traveler here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. We want you to please go out there and consider committing a random act of kindness, do something kind for another, and be a force for good in the community. We'll see you next time right here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
You've been listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.